He doesn't like trouble. He is trouble.
If I get pulled off of this case, you will never feel safe in your world again.
Freeze, Miami Vice! Now, I'm rather excited to share some casting news for you regarding Joseph Kosinski's Miami Vice film, the same Miami Vice film that is going to be set in the 1980s. It's a little bit of news from Variety, but then also following this, it's going to be a possible Nightmare on Elm Street movie reboot with Jim Carrey possibly, just ever so slightly possibly, playing Freddy Krueger. It's a fascinating story, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it.
Her voice may be almost as important to gamers as Lara's double pistols, curves and skimpy shorts.
Kung Fu Hot Dog
is a Kung Fu renegade cop. Now he must defeat the most evil Kung Fu master in the world.
For a modern gaming audience.
Get ready for a new world of unspeakable adventures.
I said, Mummy, I like the way the lady runs.
Get ready for a new world of unspeakable adventures, never before shown in a motion picture. Get ready for
Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Right?
Now, courtesy of Variety, folks, Austin Butler in early talks to join Michael B. Jordan as Ricardo Tubbs in Miami Vice. So, again, Michael B. Jordan, a terrific actor, doesn't always get the roles that I think he should be playing instead of playing other roles that really he shouldn't be playing at all. But Austin Butler, possibly as Sonny Crockett, along with Elvis the Alligator, I think would be pretty awesome if that were to happen. Again, Austin Butler is a man who continues to shine in most things that he does, and honestly, let's have a quick read of this. And R.I.P. June Lockhart, lost in space, lived until 100 and she just recently passed away, so R.I.P. to her. If the deal ultimately closes, Butler could play James Sonny Crockett opposite Michael B. Jordan's Rico Tubbs. The suave South Floridan detectives portrayed by Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas, apparently a doppelganger of mine according to my mother, in the classic 80s TV series. Of course, in 2006 we had Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell in the ever so serious Michael Mann adaptation of the TV series he had very little involvement with, by the way.
Michael came on as a producer because Brandon Tartikoff and Universal wanted somebody to hold their hand.
Yeah. Because
basically, Thomas Carter, the director, and the rest of us, who all came out of independent films, we made that movie. We went in and we made it. And Michael, bless his heart, brought in a couple of nice additions, like a feature production designer named Mel Bourne.
Yeah. And I did not like that version at all. People always say it's fantastic. I thought Collateral was way better than Miami Vice. Butler soared to the top of the Hollywood's leading man list after playing rock and roll legend Elvis Presley in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, which is a pretty good film. Then he starred in things like Zoe 101, Switched at Birth, and the Carrey Diaries. And yeah, he's gone on to play some very good roles in the last few years. Kosinski, whose recent forays into existing IP with Top Gun Maverick and F1 the movie, my film of the year by the way, proved both innovative and lucrative, now explores the glamour and corruption of mid-80s Miami with a reboot of Miami Vice the movie. The film, an official logline explains, is inspired by the pilot episode and the subsequent first season, which is the landmark TV series that influenced culture and set the style of everything from fashion to filmmaking. Because of course, again, people like Hugo Boss, Armani, Ferrari, Lamborghini were just literally throwing themselves at the producers just to get their products showcased for free on a landmark TV series like NBC's Miami Vice. So I cannot wait to see what they come out with. I mean, I want to see production stills, and I want to see the actual end trailer before the film actually comes out in 2027. I'm so excited for this at the moment. Of course, folks, we have to realize, don't expect our expectations to be so high and then we're so let down. But Joseph Kosinski, I think, is terrific. He did wonders with Maverick, didn't he? No, I mean, Maverick in its own right should not have scored over $1 billion at the box office, but it clearly did. Came out at the right time and people were pleasantly surprised.
Then on Miami Vice, a loan shark operation sets up Sonny for the kill. You're under arrest. Will he take the fall to protect an old flame? Friday.
But I got to talk about this story here now, folks, which I thought was pretty damn cool. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 director Chuck Russell thinks Jim Carrey should take over as Freddy Krueger. So to make this point very, very clear, folks, it's not about Robert Englund is not the OG Freddy Krueger. He absolutely is. Jim Carrey hasn't signed on to talk about this yet because if you remember, Jim and Chuck Russell collaborated on 1994's The Mask, which in on itself was also meant to be a horror movie. If you hear Chuck Russell talk about this, it's pretty insane where they were going to go with it, and then they wisely settled on something that was between a mixture of the Copacabana style of those Zoot Suit classic TV shows of the era with comedy and musical numbers. It absolutely worked and it was the best approach to take. So let's just get into this very quickly. So by Mark Cassidy, who states here that we've been hearing that there might be some movement on a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie for a while at this stage. But if or when Freddy Krueger does return to the screen, fans should not expect to see the great Robert Englund reprise his iconic blended glove and striped jumper. And as Freddy has stated here, there is no Freddy left in me, he told Bloody Disgusting in a recent interview. I could possibly voice a really high-end animated version, which I think is a pretty cool thing that he stated right there. And high-end, he probably means like CGI animated. That's where he probably would be lending his vocal talents, not some sort of shoddy, crappy WB style animation that nobody gives a shit about or stuff that you see on Netflix. Englund says here, it would be nice to be asked to do that, but I know I can't do the fight scenes more than one take, one angle. I just can't be snapping my head back on or anything like that. I'm an old dog. Give me a break. So Chuck Russell, who directed what people consider to be the best film in the franchise, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, We're the Dream Warriors. And yeah, I mean, I like that film for so many reasons, especially the hot nurse who walks up to Joey and asks, "Do you like my body, Joey?" Only to turn into Freddy Krueger straight afterwards. Talk about the ultimate cock-blocking experience.
What's wrong, Joey? Feeling tongue-tied?
Now, Jim, in my opinion, this is what Chuck Russell says, could do almost anything if he put his heart into it. And this is for Dread Central's Developmental Hell podcast. For Jim to do it, we'd have to do something that was another leap in the Elm Street series. A little bit like what Wes did, Wes Craven, the great man himself, with his very meta New Nightmare. I think Jim would only consider it, and I'd only consider harnessing him as opposed to harassing him, if there was a bold new direction for Elm Street. I mean, this is a really good article actually, but there is a problem with the Elm Street film being rebooted because of the rights of the film. So if you don't know about this, it was reverted back to the estate owner of writer-director Wes Craven back in 2019, but New Line retains the international rights. Last we heard, the estate was taking pitches, but they still need New Line on board or a deal with another domestic distributor to move forward with a new movie. Jim Carrey as Freddy Krueger. Well, let me tell you about this, folks. Because now tomorrow I'm receiving from Amazon the Steelbook 4K series of all the Elm Street films. I cannot wait to get that, open it, and start getting ready for Halloween, because holy shit, just to see those films in 4K. And I think it's Elm Street 5 that is fully uncut now. Before it wasn't. I used to hear a rumor back in the day that Elm Street 2 was cut for various reasons, but that's not the case, to be honest, not that I know of. But with all of this talk, with the release of the 4K steelbooks, which are limited by the way, it makes sense that now everybody's saying, Freddy Krueger, Jim Carrey. That does make a lot of sense. Also, Jim Carrey's done all the PG-13 stuff with the Sonic movies. And look, let's face it, the Sonic films, I don't watch for the lead character or the other boring people in those movies. It's about Jim Carrey's performance as Robotnik. I think he's absolutely hilarious. And again, if you watch the humor of those films, it's very on the line of adult humored. If you get it, you do. If you don't, you don't. Now, Jim Carrey as someone like Freddy Krueger. I know Jim for a while would stay away from stuff that was like hard-ass stuff, like Kick-Ass 2.
Dead guys. Franz, wieder. Ow! Jesus! Yeah, there's a dog on your balls.
I think for Jim to go into a horror movie franchise like the Elm Street series and bring something new, I think that could be terrific. I think Jim still has the physical moves to do such things. It'll be a different departure from what he's done before, so I can't actually rule out that he wouldn't do it. Why would Chuck Russell bring his name up if he hasn't already discussed with Jim Carrey the possibility that he might be your new Freddy Krueger? Yes, Jackie Earle Haley played him in 2010 in a reboot that nobody liked because it took itself far too seriously. But honestly, with Jim Carrey's magnetic physicality and personality, I mean, you might watch The Mask again as in his role as Stanley Ipkiss, and you might get glimpses if he were to sign a deal with New Line to bring us a new series of films of Elm Street. Could be very special. And if it does happen, I think we would only get 3 movies with Jim Carrey as Krueger. It depends. It depends how successful they're received. They could be, but they've got to stick the hard R rating in there. You can't make them a PG-13. That would not make any sense at all. And if they were to go in that direction, and I don't think they would, because you'll be dishonoring the legacy of Wes Craven, then I think there might be a new reinvigorated interest in the man they call Krueger, Freddy Krueger. And on that one, ladies and gentlemen, if you ended up enjoying this video today, make sure you leave a like below, make sure you comment, and I'll catch you catching me, my favorite bitches, for the return of the next video.
Welcome to prime time, bitch! It would come out on the feature film.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
It would slow down naturally with just that hint, just that taste of very speed on it. So that's sort of all you'll ever want to know about the Freddy voice, I imagine.